Hi, had another vision. So this vision was from a few days ago on Friday at the 21 Days of Prayer again. And so this vision, I believe, is a vision of the same event that I had visions of my previous two visions in the videos that I made before, only from a different vantage point. So the very first vision 2 videos ago was my spirit in the vision going up into space and seeing what is happening on the earth. And then the second vision was my spirit going down underground. And then this vision was, it seemed to be the same event, this where the fiery baptism of fire, glory of God overtakes the entire earth. Only this time it was, my vantage point was on the earth. So actually on the ground, seeing what was happening during that same event. So, and this has happened to me before where I have a series of visions of what seems to be the same event, but each vision will be like from a different vantage point. So that's what I think was happening in this last vision. So when the vision began, was not in the sanctuary. This time we just went right into the vision, and I was with a group of people. In this vision, I could see myself. I was kind of like outside of myself, which does not usually happen. Usually I'm just like looking out at the vision, looking out through my own eyes. But this time I could see myself. And I was with a group of people, maybe 30 to 50 people. And we were wearing this, it was like ancient armor, kind of. It wasn't like a head to toe knight in shining armor, kind of medieval type armor. It looked very ancient, maybe like Old Testament times. And I could see it very clearly in the vision. We had, the only armor was just over our chest area. And then some of us had coverings over our shins. And then we had like little skirts and it was so cute. And we didn't have any kind of helmets, so our faces, our heads were uncovered. All of us had these big, heavy looking, thick swords. And some of us had shields, like round shields. I did not have a shield. We looked very fierce. And I'm not really a very fierce, tough person, so it was kind of fun to see myself looking so fierce. So in the vision, we were all kind of in a group, kind of a line, but many layers deep, and we were running. And we were running with our swords out in front of us, just running full speed. And my vantage point was in front of myself and this group of people and going backwards. So I was watching us running toward me as we were running. So in the vision, we just kept running and running and running. And the vision could not have lasted any more than maybe 10 minutes in reality. But in the vision, it seemed like much, much longer because we just kept running and running. And the ground we were running on was either flat, sometimes there were rolling hills, but it looked like fields, just endless fields with yellow grass, so maybe wheat or winter grasses. And we were just running full speed with our swords out in front of us. We just kept going and going and going. And then as I'm watching in the vision, we came across a person who was laying on the ground, and they were covered with these big, thick chains. And so as we came to this person, we stopped for just a moment, and one of the people ran forward, and they held their sword up in the sky, up in the air, and then came down real hard on the chains. So whack, they whacked the chains. And when they did that, all the chains miraculously fell off of this person and they jumped up. Now, when we had first encountered the person and they were surrounded and they were wrapped in the chains, they looked very, almost dead, very sickly, gaunt, pale. Their eyes were all hollow. They just looked dead. And then when the chains miraculously came off and they jumped up, within seconds, everything changed. Their eyes lit up, their skin, their bodies beefed up right as we were watching. Color came to their skin. So just within a few seconds, all of those changes took place. And then they put their hands out like this, and a sword appeared in their hands. And we started running again, and they joined in with us. So it seems as if we were an army, I guess, running as if we were chasing an enemy. But I never, throughout this entire vision, I never saw any kind of enemy. So it was as if the enemy had already retreated. And so maybe this person that we encountered was a prisoner that they had dropped or dumped off. So then we just kept running and ran across another person in exactly the same position, lying on the ground, covered, wrapped in these big, thick chains. And another person ran forward with their sword, and whack, the chains miraculously came off. The person jumped up, exactly the same thing happened, and they beefed up, got color in their face, their eyes lit up, and they held out their hands and grabbed a sword. And then we started running again. And so this continued to happen. We kept running across these people that were in the chains. And so every single time we did that, oh gosh, there probably, I don't know, there were so many. It started off just one here and there, and then it kept becoming more increasingly often that we would run into these people, and every single time the same thing would happen. Somebody would come forward, whack the chains off, they would jump up, and they would look so much better and come alive and grab a sword and join in with us. And so as this kept happening, our group kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So at this point, there were probably hundreds of us, and my viewpoint was still the same. I was still in front watching all of this happen. And so I could see the group getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so we continued just running and running. It seemed like we were covering miles and miles and miles of the same ground. It was just this fields and fields. Then I noticed, I don't remember going underground, but I looked up and I realized, oh, we're underground now. And we were in these dark tunnels, continuing to run. We hadn't changed our pace. We were continuing to run with our swords in front of us. But now we were underground in these dark tunnels, just running. And then we came to the tunnel opened up, and it was like this big cavern. And on the other side, there were bars, and on the other side, it was like a prison or cell. And there were all of these people that were on the other side of the bars. So they were like prisoners in there. And they all looked just the same as the people who had been wrapped in chains that we saw up on top of the ground. They were gaunt, they looked almost dead, emaciated, looked like Holocaust survivors. And so we did stop at this point. The only time we stopped in the vision was when we ran across this first cell. We stopped and we're looking at the people on the other side, and they can see us. And I lift up my hand, the one that isn't holding the sword, and all of a sudden this golden key appears in my hand, like ding, this big, huge golden key. And it fits exactly the lock in the door, in the cell door. And so I unlock it, it opens, and all of these hundreds of prisoners start running out. And as they're running out, the same thing is happening to them. Their eyes are lighting up, their bodies are beefing up, they get color, they raise out their hands, and a sword appears in their hands. So they all come and join us. And so then we start running again. So we've got our swords and we're running. And then as we go through these tunnels, we keep running into all these cells. Same thing happens. We open up the cells, the key works on all the doors, and they come out and they join us. Then we go back up on top of the ground again. So we go back out in the sunshine and continue running through the fields. And at this time, my vantage point now, for the first time, it goes, I'm not in front of them anymore. My spirit in the vision shoots up and above, up in the sky above this huge army of people. And so I can see now that we have grown to thousands and thousands of people. And now, because I'm so high, I can look back and I can see behind us. And behind us, there is this huge fire coming closer and closer to us as we are running. We're running really fast, but the fire is going a little faster. And so I'm watching it come closer and closer, consuming everything in its path. And that's the first time in the vision I realized, wow, I'm seeing the same event that I saw before from space, only now I'm on the ground. And this is that same fire coming to consume and engulf us. And just like before, the fire did not seem to be something scary or dangerous. It seemed like something very good, something wonderful. And we were almost like preparing the way for it as we're running ahead and loosing all of these prisoners. So I'm still up above watching as we're running. And then I see we come to this very, very tall hill. Almost, you could call it a mountain. It was very, very tall. There were no trees. It was smooth and covered in grass. Very, very steep sides. And so I'm watching from up above, and the group of the army gets to that big tall hill, and they don't even slow down their pace. They just start going up the top of it. So they're going up, 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 up. And as the first people reach the very top of it, which is very pointy, very high, they reach the top. And at that same moment, the fire reaches them and engulfs the whole army of people. And as I'm watching, I see the fire engulf them, and the fire and the people shoot up into the sky. So whoosh, and it's very fast. Whoosh, I see them shoot up. And so I see the first several people start shooting up, and at that time, the fire engulfs me from my viewpoint up above at the same time. And I see, so myself, I shoot upward as well, surrounded by the fire. And so I'm going up into the sky along with everyone else, higher and higher, really fast. And at this point, I realize that what I am seeing is all of the pillars of fire that I saw from my previous vision, from coming up from the earth, going up into the sky. So I saw all those pillars of fire coming up from all the different locations around the earth. And I realized I am now inside one of these pillars of fire. And that was the end of that vision. Have a blessed day.